So prologue, at the beginning of 2021, I decided to go ahead and invest in the Canon R6. Just because I've been using the 80D for so long. It's a crop sensor camera, APS-C, very good. But I think it was time to upgrade to full frame, and of course, I want to go ahead and get into the mirrorless world because I figured I'm going to need something that's going to last me years down the road. And so here we are. And I wanted to make a video about my first impressions of it. And I didn't want it to be a video of just, here's a summary and an overview of what it has and what it can do. Yeah, there's already a ton of videos out there. That's not really giving an impression, now is it? That's just a cheap way to get views, which I'm not opposed to. So this isn't so much an overview video of what the R6 has, it's just my personal impressions and my personal opinion and things that I noticed right off the bat that I liked about it, that really hooked me once I got it, rather than just reading about what it can do. So these are in no particular order, not from least to most important, but number one, dual card slots. One of the most important things that a photographer could use these days. And like I said in a previous video, I've asked other wedding photographers, what would you suggest to somebody trying to get into a more professional style business or way of shooting to try to get that business? And they said, get dual card slots for a camera. If you're going to do weddings or more professional headshots, doing sporting events for companies, dual card slots. And my impression of that is that it was a nice upgrade from a camera that does not have dual card slots. Pretty simple. Now, second impression, I know it's the debated topic. It's been in many videos, the overheating issue. I personally have never had an overheating issue because I don't let the camera record for up to 30 minutes. If I'm going to film in 4K, I'm just going to film in small segments and prepare ahead of time that I know what I'm going to shoot, as a good filmmaker should do. I don't mean to sound like I'm calling anybody out, but now, to be fair, there are people who have experienced overheating issues when they haven't been leaving it on recording, and the firmware updates have helped a great deal with that. It doesn't get as hot or as warm as fast, and I think that's great. And I also have no intention of recording at 4K at 60 frames a second. 24p is good enough for me. I might do 30 frames a second if I decide to do, short little interview segments, but that's about it. I'll probably stick to 24. But 4K at 24, it's like, yes, now the little short films we make will look that much better. And maybe side note, in the editing room, it's good to have a lot of RAM to keep up with the 4K editing. I've got 32 gigs of RAM in my computer, and editing in Premiere Pro, I could still use more. I know they say 32 is recommended at minimum. You might want to get more than 32 gigs if you're going to edit in 4K. So just point that out there, trying to help you out. Which brings me to another point that is still being addressed in firmware updates from the past and going into the future. C-Log. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's Canon log, like Sony has their own log profiles and Nikon, blah, blah, blah. It's like a very flat picture profile that makes everything so neutral and makes the editing process a lot easier if you're trying to do it at a more professional level. You don't have to just, record on automatic settings. This can really make your videos and your films look really good. So starting out in flat and adjust the contrast later on in that. Now, some people have said, oh, well, it's only C-Log 1, not C-Log 2 or 3. My take on all that is log 1 is better than no log at all. Impression number 3. Yes, I know it looks silly in America when we do it that way instead of this way, but there you are. The silent shutter on this thing. Now, yeah, obviously it's a mirrorless camera, so it doesn't have the click, 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 click like the regular DSLRs have. And I really can't stop smiling about the fact that I can take photos in low light situations and like concerts, intimate little numbers or scenes that are happening on stage and the actors won't even hear it. And I tried that a couple of times and had a couple actors come up to me afterwards like, were you taking pictures or video? I said, no, I was taking pictures. They're like, oh, I didn't hear anything. I said, that's the idea. Which, yeah, if you tell actors ahead of time, or anyone performing on stage, musicians, what have you, that, you know, I'm going to be taking photos, you might hear, you know, click, 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 just ignore it. And they're like, yeah, okay. Because people are pretty cool about that if they know ahead of time. But even when I tell them ahead of time that this isn't going to make a sound, it's nice to see the reactions on that. It makes me smile a little more. Now, point number 4, I'm not the only one who loves the autofocus, especially the eye autofocus, so I'll hand this over to an average man on the street.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, I'd be glad to. Yeah, my favorite part of this is the eye autofocus, and this thing is brilliant. It's much better than what I could have done before with the ADD, and even in post-processing there. See, if I try to take a self-portrait, even 98% of the time, it would lock onto my eye. But if it didn't, it would still lock onto my face. So, you know, it's still good. And then, even for more practice, I went to the zoo, because that's a great place to practice and hang out and look at the birds especially. And this thing is so good with birds. And if you'd be so kind as to throw a couple of pictures up on the screen there. Yeah. See, look at that. Tack sharp, even when I wasn't trying to focus on the bird's eye just to try to get a bird in shot, it would focus on the eye automatically. I love it. So yeah, that's what I love about it, the eye autofocus or the face autofocus, either on people or especially on birds. So, you know, that's what I love about it. Here, why don't you tell them about the lenses?
Nice, thank you very much. Now, I must reveal a secret. My family did not inherit a lot of old money. However, if you're anything like myself and you already have the EF to RF adapter, then you're perfectly set. If you already have an EF lens or an EFS lens, you can attach the adapter, attach the lens to it that you already have, and Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. And a bonus when attaching the EFS lens, as if I'm attaching, let's say, the kit lens from the 80D to it, the megapixel count lessens a bit, but if you're posting to Facebook or Instagram, nobody will know the difference anyway. However, it automatically goes into crop mode, and I thought that was brilliant. I don't have to go into the menu and futz about manually setting it into crop mode. It automatically does it, so you don't have the ring around the corners there. And so that's what I like about it. The adapter making an EF or EFS lens work, and the focusing, all the computer systems inside work perfectly well with those lenses. So I think it's great, and it saves a bit of money for you if you're on a budget. Thank you very much. Okay, I think I've made my point on this video standing out from some of the other ones. I know it's ridiculous, but hey, you gotta have a sense of humor about these things. Now we come to what you could say would be gripes, maybe complaints. I don't say they're complaints, but again, these are my impressions of things and just my opinion. Now, what I found somewhat inconvenient on the Canon 80D, by the viewfinder, if you wanted to switch from video to photo mode and start and stop recording, you had the button right beside the viewfinder. On the R6, we have the little joystick, which has replaced the touch bar. Thank God for that. However, if you want to switch from photo to video on the R6, you have to dial the control wheel all the way around from one opposite end to the other. If I want to go from video to manual photo mode, I have to turn it almost all the way around instead of just flipping a switch. Yeah, it's only a second or two out of my time, but I think it's less efficient. And if you were to switch from photo to video with the touch of the record button on top of the R6, it just goes into automatic settings. You don't have manual settings. But I've heard rumors, namely partially on Canon Rumors website, that may be coming in a future firmware update with the option to have it in manual mode if you're going to switch. I hope so. But all in all, the different button layout, it's not the end of the world. It's just a matter of getting used to the muscle memory for a different machine. And I will say this machine feels a lot sturdier. And one other thing right now that I find a little inconvenient is the joystick, which replaces the touch bar. Again, thank goodness for that. I wish that it would work like the wheel and the directional pad on the 80D. You could press it, north, south, east, or west on the ends, But if you move the joystick on the R6 up, down, you know, left or right, north, south, east, or west, and you're in the quick menu, let's say, it won't do anything if you press in on the joystick, which I don't really get why. If I'm wrong about any of this and there's a way to fix that, please let me know and I'll apologize. But right now I'm thinking, why do they have a lot of this if the joystick seems to only be for the live view, you know, moving it around where you want to focus, which you could already do that with your thumb on the screen, which is cool enough. That's another feature, but you know, didn't really have much importance for me yet. Like I said, it's just a matter of getting used to the controls on another camera. That's about it. It's not the end of the world. You can get used to it. So that's all I can think of for now. So again, thank you very much for watching. Please, if you got anything out of this video, a laugh, a bit of an education, something, you know, be sure to hit the little like and subscribe button if you'd be so kind, and leave a comment down below if you got the R6 too, and you know, what was one of the first things that you liked about it that you didn't expect to have it there. Be glad to hear it. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Click, 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 click.